I'm about to do something different right now, which I'm so not accustomed to doing, which is sharing details of this recent mental emotional challenge that I have been through, especially over the last 2 days. It wasn't just the last 2 days, honestly, it had been building up for the past few months. But the last 2 days was sort of like the peak or the valley, you can say, the lowest point. See, I've always been the kind of person who prefers to retreat back into hermit mode, into a cocoon, when I'm going through something. And I like to just be within my own energy and alchemize whatever I'm going through. And whatever output or the breakthrough or the aha moment that I have that comes through that phase, I'm someone who usually shares that. I've always shared that. And I'm not saying just online, like even to people closest to me, like even my husband. And he's very well aware of it. And I love him to pieces for giving me the space and time to do my own thing and to process everything the way I want to. That works for me. And looking back, I feel like I've always been like that since childhood. I've always been like that. Like when I was experiencing depression years and years back, my family wasn't even aware of it until I had come out of it. I had succeeded at alchemizing it, then I could share it. So it's almost like I only share the breakthroughs, the aha moments. But for a change, I'm being called to be a little bit more open and a little bit more vulnerable. So here I am. I'm going to share exactly what I was going through the last 2 days. Again, as I mentioned, it had been something that was building up over the last few months. But these 2 days, let's talk about it. So on this journey, especially the last 3 years, that's like the part of the journey where I have like fully committed myself and said, yes, this is what I am committing myself to and devoting my life towards. Majority of part of the journey, it required me to let go and give up everything that defined me, be that career, be that certain identity that I brought up in front of my family, in front of people that I would meet. It made me give up social media somewhat. I only posted when I felt called to, because that was a huge part of my journey. It has been a huge part of my journey where I was pulled back from taking any action that was coming from the ego, coming from a place of wanting validation from outside. But one thing I know for sure, and I've always known this, is that I am meant to share my journey. I'm meant to share my own experiences, the wisdom that I've gained on this journey, and to be of service to other people through being authentic, through being vulnerable. So for the initial majority part of the journey, I was able to understand that, and I was able to be okay that, okay, this is what is required of me, and I honor that. But a few months back, this contradiction, an internal contradiction, conflict, kept surfacing, where my mind's like, if you have this knowing that you're meant to be out there, you're meant to be sharing your voice, why aren't you doing that? And all I was doing on all this time was just honoring my heart, my calling. But my mind constantly kept on putting me in panic state, trying to convince me that I am going crazy, that all of this is false, my entire journey is a lie, that it is essentially keeping me away from being seen. Because that has been a huge wound of mine is that I always had the fear of being seen. I hope I can make sense of this because there's so many different layers to it. And then my mind's like, if your knowing is that you are meant to be seen, that is your part of your mission, that is part of your destined journey, then why aren't you doing it? And when I would sit down to do it, I would be pulled back because it wasn't time. And since it wasn't happening according to what my mind thought should be happening, because see, what happens is a mind loves to create an identity. So it attaches itself to an identity. It started attaching itself to this inner knowing, the identity of someone whose mission is to be seen, who is meant to be out there sharing their voice. And as time kept passing, my mind started getting even louder, trying to convince me that there is something wrong, I'm doing something wrong, that out of that fear of being seen, I'm holding myself back. So that I should be forcing myself to get over that fear and just do the damn thing. And that's what minds have been ingrained with. And honestly, it was a huge part of my life as well. Listening to all these motivational speakers and listening to all of these mindset coaches, and I was a mindset coach myself as well, where I would always say that do the difficult thing, right? Like, it makes sense. Like, even now, it's like, yeah, like there are a lot of the times our mind is holding us back because it's scared, it's fearful of being seen or being judged or whatever that might be. So there's so many different fears.